straight from the swamps of southern Louisiana, straight from the swamps of straight from the swamps of southern Louisiana, straight from the swamps of southern Louisiana. Let's get it.
B.S.ing with the guys. We are live and at it again. I am Shane. Below me, down there, my boy Brad.
How y'all doing, fellas?
We're missing you on here, Brad.
I hear you, man. Well, I've been missing y'all, dude, for sure, man. So been under the weather for a few days, and yeah, you know, I gotta have my radio voice all together, but yeah, I'm glad to be back, you know. So.
My radio voice. Well, it sounds great, man. They
awesome.
Fuck it, we're gonna get right into it, man. They got our boys set up. Time Magazine, Person of the Year.
Dude, it's about time.
Yeah, I can't think of a better person. And that's not just because we voted for Trump, but honestly, everything he's been through. I mean, it kind of shocked me that they gave it to him, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was a little shocked myself when I heard it this morning, you know, on the radio that he was on Time Magazine. I'm like, dude, what better person, man? He truly deserves it, you know. So.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, not even shocked because he's not deserving, but you're right. Just, you know, he deserves it, but shocked that any left-leaning magazine like that would ever, you know, and it was good to see, you know. They got a few liberals, you know, going crazy on, you know, online right now because they're not fans of it, but, you know, it is what it is. Matter of fact, we're going to share one right now. We're going to listen to old Don Lemon melting down over it. You know, he didn't really understand what was going on, but let's see what Don's got to say here.
Now, if they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, they would have made someone who, and my God, I'm sure he loves this, right? If they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, I don't know, they could have done it with any person. People, they could have done it to someone who actually stood for democracy, who stands for democracy in the country. Now, you think about what encompasses Person of the Year. Just because you are elected president of the United States does not mean that you should be Person of the Year. What Time Magazine, what are you doing? Let me ask you, Time Magazine. What do you say to the women who, I guess, still read Time magazines? Or the women who don't they do like a whole Time 100 thing or something, which, you know, what about the women who are on that list? What about that? I'm sure some of them will had dealt with issues that women have to deal with, like discrimination in the workplace.
I've heard enough of this idiot. Can you see what he's comparing what Trump went through to women that are supposed to be discriminated against? You know,
absolutely.
I mean, dude almost got his brains blown out. He fought the entire system to, you know, get back to where he's at as far as being elected as president. And Don Lemon would rather give it to someone who, you know, may have been told she had a nice ass when she was walking down the hallway at work or something. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand that thinking. I guess it's anything just to go along with whatever narrative you've been pushing this entire time if you're Don Lemon. But come on, man, to say some shit like that, like, I mean, at least come up with somebody that went through something, you know. I mean, women that, you know, discriminated against in the workplace, like, shut up, you know.
God, this guy, he's such a has-been, dude. I guess what's he got, his own podcast now, man? Or he's trying it or whatever?
Yeah. Nobody wants him. He you know, CNN got rid of him or whatever, and he tried it on X for a while, but him and Elon couldn't.
I remember that. So. Yeah, he's a total embarrassment to even say he's from Louisiana, you know. So
I forget about that. He is from down here, huh?
Yeah, Baker, Louisiana. Yeah,
what a jackass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought that was odd. I heard him crying on there earlier, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know, at least give me a name of somebody that may have been a runner-up, you know. I mean, but to sit there and, like I said, throw out the line of some woman that's been discriminated against. Discrimination, I mean, you talk about somebody's been discriminated against, and I'm not saying, oh, let's all have a pity party for Donald Trump, but I mean, motherfucker, I mean, that man has been through some shit, you know.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Charged, you know, tried 2 assassination attempts. His moral character has been defamed. Dude, yeah, and they're gonna talk about it's just the left, Shane. I don't know what else to say about it, man. I really don't, you know.
Well, let's give this idiot the benefit of the doubt. I hadn't listened to the whole video, but let's see if he's got anybody worth a shit that could have been, you know, in Trump's place on that magazine cover. Let's see.
SA, all kinds of things. You have someone on the cover of your magazine who is an adjudicated assaulter. You have someone who inspired an insurrection. You have someone who, without a doubt, the evidence is there, tried to overturn a free and fair election. You had someone who had multiple criminal counts and found guilty on multiple criminal counts. And you name them person of the year? Is this a joke? Did we get something wrong? Did someone scam us?
See, he can't even name anyone.
No.
I mean, he's just throwing out a bunch of these hot button topic, just these taglines, but he's not naming anybody. So that just goes to show you right there. Even somebody like him can't find anybody better.
But he would be the first that would approve of giving Jenner the Woman of the Year, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Or that thing that was swimming against all them girls, Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whatever the hell that thing's name was. Of course. Yeah. They deserve, person of the year.
Yeah. Well, he deserves it. I'm glad he got it. And hats off to the man.
Well, it seemed like a decent little interview. I didn't have a chance to really go through the entire thing, but I figured we pull up the transcript and get to some of the quicker ones. I mean, Trump can be a little long-winded, so I don't want to get into every single word he said, but let's see what they're talking about on this one. Let's see. Well, that's a bit. Yeah. You decided to give up on Gates? To my Matt Gates. No, I didn't give up on him. I talked to him and I said, Matt, I don't think this is worth the fight. Now, I don't know what the hell he meant by that, but he was there when I convinced 5 people to go that were hard-nosed, but we want to speak to the president, blah, blah, blah. This is a lot of years. Yeah, see, kind of read this one early. He didn't really give an answer what he meant by that. He just, said that it wasn't worth the fight. I mean, what do you think I guess he's meaning the fight that they were going to put up to stop Gates from being approved?
Absolutely. I think that's what it was. Well, from what I understand with Matt Gates, and you can probably add to it too, is that he's not liked up there on Capitol Hill. They can't stand him, which I mean, even to me makes him a better pick, but they just don't like him up there. Shane,
well, you ain't lying to me. Yeah. If they don't like him, man,
that's what we want,
Yeah. But something made Trump turn away from him. Like, I don't know if he just knew it was going to be a losing battle,
I think so. I think that's what it was coming down to, that nobody was going to vote for him, approve him. So I guess he said, you know what, I'm going to lick my wounds and move on. But look, I think he's got a good choice now, man. You know, I really do. I think she's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Well, let's see. This one's talking about RFK. It says, this is from Time Magazine. One of them who is controversial, who I just want to ask you a quick question about, is RFK Jr., who is a noted vaccine skeptic. If he moves to end childhood vaccination programs, would you sign off on that? Trump answers, we're going to have a big discussion. The autism rate is at a level that nobody ever believed possible. If you look at things that are happening, there's something causing it. So, I mean, I don't know how else they expect him to answer that, but it's not like he's going to sit there right away and say, yeah, whatever RFK Jr. says, we're going to do, but he makes a good point, because we've talked about it multiple times on this, this podcast about how the autism rates and how it links to the times where they started pumping these children full of these vaccines. So, I'm hoping it's something they really, really look at. And again, super excited about RFK being on board for that reason.
Yeah, just if he can start, look, I'm not in for total full control that you can and can't. That's America, man. If you want them, take them. But I think if it's brought to light and it's a little more truth is shown on all of it across the board, from the foods we eat to the chemicals that are in the foods to, even these vaccines, man. I think it needs to be brought to light. And, of course, the whole mandate crap is what I'm still pissed off about that with COVID, So how many lives and businesses and, there's no telling what the effects are going to be 5 years from now with all of that bullshit,
Well, and you hit on a good point as far as anything being, forced or taking away choices for people. Like, the answer shouldn't be, I guess, to take away the vaccines, because there's some people that may want to get their children vaccinated, but there are a ton of people who don't. So it should be a choice. But the problem is, I know at least around here, if you stick your child in public school, you don't have a fucking choice. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're forced to inject your child with all of this shit that you may not want to. And that right there, that's wrong. And they
Absolutely.
say it's to protect the kids around you, but it's like we've said with the COVID vaccine. If it's a vaccine, it shouldn't matter if I have it, if you have it. You know what I mean? End
Right.
of
You would
story.
think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
end of story. I
absolutely.
mean, if your child has all the vaccines and is up to date, then don't worry about what mine's doing.
Yes,
But it
exactly.
lets you know there's so much more to that, and we know what it is. It's all money. It's profit driven to where, somehow they got their hands on the Board of Education or whoever decides this with these vaccines, and they force them to make it mandatory to attend public schools. And it's all a money grab. And that right there, like you touched on, that should be a choice. Educate
Absolutely.
people on them, give us the real data on these vaccines and or anything that you're developing as a pharmaceutical company, and let us make the choice. Put it out there for people to take if they want, but at least educate everyone on what the pros and cons are, and then let adults make a decision is how it should be. But that they stand to lose too much money doing that shit.
Oh, absolutely. And look, man, when you look at the full circle, man, if it's big ag, or if it's big farmer, or even the medical industry and the food industry, God, it's this vicious cycle of like what I like to say, like the dog chasing the tail, man. It's like nothing's healthy anymore, man, because we've done that before. You try to read with half the shit that you eat, and you can't even pronounce it. And it's like, God, well, I guess yeah, it tastes good, so I'm just going to eat it. But and the same thing with medicines and we've talked on air, off air about that, and just take this, you'll be all right, and it's like, oh God, yeah, and I just think that there needs to be a whole lot of more clarity on it, man, and you know, need to be healthier because you can go to other countries, you can't put none of that in your food.
Yeah,
So
well, that was, something we touched on a few episodes ago, was the shit with the Fruit Loops and the comparison to what they put in
yeah,
them,
it's true.
down here to what they do in Canada. Now, you pull up a picture of both of them. The one in Canada looks like shit. It looks like something you don't want to eat, honestly.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
that's part of what all this shit is that they throw in the food. It's all about the appeal of to our eyes, because that's the first thing that apparently we consume with. We see something like, damn, that looks good. You know what I mean? So
and that's the
that's
truth, dude.
yeah, well, that's where all these dyes and all that bullshit come from, and
Yeah.
it's not to say they're all bad, I guess in moderation, but I'm sure there's things in there that we don't need to be ingesting at all,
No. Yeah.
but let's see what else they touched on. I like this one. A question on the minds of a lot of Americans: will you restore your policy of separating families? Trump's response was, I don't think I won't have to, because first of all, it wasn't my policy. It was Obama's policy. I
It's
loved it.
true.
I
It's
loved
true.
it. God. Yeah, he built jails for children. He did. If you look at 2014, and of course they cut them off right there, but it's true. You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah,
a great
absolutely.
comeback on that. It's like, I don't have to put any kind of policy in play. Obama already did it. And you could tell just by reading the transcript that the interviewer did not want to even get into that, because they cut him off as soon as he said, if you look at 2014, and then, oh yeah, I don't want to litigate the past. I'm just asking if you will do this, was the response by the fucking interviewer. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, you said your policy. This was a policy of the country. I don't believe we'll have to, because we will send the whole family back. so
Perfect. Yeah.
he's not going to separate them. We're going to send them all back.
You took the words right out my mouth, dude. It's like, yeah, no, we're not going to separate them. We're going to send each and every one of them back. So
And they
the whole
asked him about,
family.
so they asked, deport them together, question mark.
Yeah.
Trump responded, I would much rather deport them together than separate. I
Yeah.
mean, it's and yeah, if you're gonna send somebody home anyway, then yeah, that's how you solve the problem of separating them. You send them all back.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole
It's-
immigration part of our country needs to be changed. I mean, God, somebody puts their foot on shore and they're a citizen, or however it might be. Yeah, it all needs to be revamped. All the alphabets need to be redone. Hopefully, we're going to get there. So
I know.
it'll be
I
interesting.
know.
It's going to be
Let's see.
interesting.
Speaking of the alphabets, he said you've put Elon Musk in charge of Doge, giving him the power too, and they cut him off for some reason, or Trump cut them off and never did answer. Along with, Trump said, and then the reporter responded by saying, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, yes, absolutely, but Okay, I see what you're saying. So he put Elon in charge of Doge along with Vivek.
Yes.
But on Musk specifically, the interviewer says, giving him the power to oversee the agencies that regulate his companies. Ooh, isn't that a conflict of interest? It's a good question, I guess. Let's see how Trump responds. I don't think so. Look, we have a country that is bloated with rules, regulations, and with, frankly, people that are unnecessary to do. We are going to need a lot of people in a lot of other jobs. We're looking to get people in the private sector jobs where they can do better and be more productive. We're going to see what happens. We have some interesting months. So in other words, you didn't answer the question.
No, he really didn't.
Because it is a good question. I mean, Musk is in charge of, shit that could control his companies, and look, I'm an Elon fan, I think we both are, but it was a good point, but it's nothing different that they're doing right now. Everybody in government, I mean,
Yeah, and I've heard Musk come out there and say that, yeah, he takes advantage of what's there, man. The policy's there for grants and special money for solar power, Tesla, whatever it might be, and yeah, he said he wouldn't be opposed if it's taken away. He's all cool with it, and it's the same thing with the subsidies to the oil companies, man. Why are we, the taxpaying citizen, subsidizing oil companies, man? Look, I'm big oil, man. I say drill, baby, drill. But in the same sense, they make a lot of money, dude. Do we need to be subsidizing them?
Well, that when they were still on the subject of Musk, with the interviewer said, but Elon Musk is talking about cuts that would directly affect NASA, which would then directly affect SpaceX, which is his company, of course.
Right.
So Trump says, I think that Elon puts the country long before his company, and I'm almost inclined to believe that, because
I believe it.
Just watch Elon, not saying that, he just wants, he doesn't give a shit if his companies fail, but you can tell by the steps he's taken and the things he says and the people that he'll basically go to war with, that that's not his driving force, is to just keep these companies making as much money as possible. It just it doesn't seem that way. So.
Well, and from what I've heard too, man, with a lot of stuff that he designs, man, he doesn't even have patents on them, man. So it's, it doesn't matter to him if people take it and run and do better with it, So
yeah, I think he found just shit that he enjoys doing, and however his brain works, but it's stuff that he enjoys doing that he was able to profit hugely from. But I just don't see that as his driving force. You could just watch Elon for a little bit and you just realize the dude's brain just doesn't quit. So it's like he's always wanting to develop something and make something. And if there's a way to get to Mars, why not try to figure it out? And I mean, it just doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to be money driven, but I just think that's how his mind works. Let's see. Let's see if they got anything. A lot of it's just back and forth nonsense. Oh, there. Let's see how he answered that. I've got I know Trump's answer is going to be hell no, but let's see. They asked, I've got a question for you about your campaign. Was there a moment when you thought you might lose? I like not to think of that, Trump says. The power of positive. Yeah, okay. So I figured it's not like Trump's ever going to say, yeah, I thought I was going to lose for a second.
No.
That's just not in Trump. No. We could have answered that for him. But let's see. What was the darkest moment of your campaign? Come on now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, do we have to? Jesus. Speaking of Kamala Harris, what do you think were her worst mistakes in the campaign? His answer was taking the assignment. Number one, because you have to know what you're good at. And it's true. She was.
It is true, man. Yeah, it is very true. That's just, look, man, that just sums up the whole question right there,
It does. Yeah. I mean, that was her worst fucking mistake, was even agreeing to do it. She stood no chance. No chance. Let's see. Did she make any tactical mistakes you think that cost her? I think that when she wouldn't talk to anybody, it's shown a light. It's true. It did. It shined a light on her. It let everybody know. I mean, Trump was over every podcast you can name. He was surprised he wasn't on this one, but he was, he was making his rounds, and she would not do it at all. I mean, the biggest one. The biggest one we talked about before was, a huge mistake on her part, I think, was not going on Rogan's.
Oh, absolutely.
He said they talked to her team multiple times and basically laid it out like, look, anything you don't want me to bring up, I won't. So it would have been on her terms,
Yeah.
but they still they fiddle farted around, and they just, for some reason, I don't know what their thinking could have been, unless they thought maybe she was going to, he was going to try to catch her up and like trap her in something. Like maybe they didn't trust Rogan, or they didn't trust her sitting down and having a 3-hour long conversation without saying something stupid.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the nail right on the head right there,
Yeah.
man.
Well, it was like Rogan said a couple episodes or so ago. It was that, you could fuck around and fool somebody for an hour, but when you start having a 3-hour long conversation with somebody, it's hard to fucking fool people for 3 straight hours. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that's probably what her team was worried about, which tells you all you need to know about her and everything she was saying on the campaign. It was just all nonsense,
All bullshit. Total
Yep.
bullshit,
Let's see. What else? There's more about Kamala. If Ukraine doesn't agree to a peace deal that you have said you will broker, will you cut military, humanitarian, and intelligence assistance to them? Trump's response was, the reason that I don't like to tell you that, of course, because he's negotiating. I'll go ahead and sum that up. Yeah, he's not going to tell you what he's going to do when it comes to dealing with these other countries. So
I don't blame him.
No, he's said that about a few topics that people try to get out of him. Many Americans and many people around the world have who, will you abandon Ukraine? That's what Time Magazine claims is a question by just about everybody. We're all concerned over that, but his answer is, I want to reach an agreement. And the only way you're going to reach an agreement is not to abandon. So look, there's going to be an agreement. I mean, you can already see the people that are starting to kind of, go along with what Trump's saying. He's not even in charge yet. And, the Canadian president's already kissing his ass. And I'm sure you heard when he said they'll make it the 51st state.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if you saw when he was overseas, in France with Macron and, I think there was a few other dignitaries over there. And I think, was Joe Biden there? I think Joe Biden showed up over there or something.
Yeah.
And
because that's when her and Trump were actually cordial, like they were talking, and she's smiling at him and shit, which it lets you know, man, politics is just a game, dude. It is. It's like, I don't know, 2 fighters going at each other like in the UFC, but it's like at the moment they're trying to kill each other, but they don't hate each other. You know what I mean? They're shaking hands afterward. That's kind of what this politics shit is. The problem is it ramps up people in the country where you have people, doing shit like taking shots at Donald Trump because of the rhetoric that goes along with politics.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem with doing that, because they're playing this fucking game, and in their mind, it's not that serious. They don't hate Trump. You know what I mean? No. Jill Biden never hated Trump. Kamala Harris never hated Trump, but they had to act like it. So then they get these nutcase people that follow them that actually start despising him, and hating him to where point that they're willing to kill him. I mean, it's a dangerous
absolutely.
Game,
There's a lot of sick fucks out there, dude.
Well, ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. You seen me and Justin were talking about, did you see that Hawk Tuah girl drop that coin and all hell broke loose?
Yeah, I saw a little bit about it, dude. Yeah. They might put her ass in jail, huh, dude?
Well, it's been damn near 7 days, and she still hasn't been back on X and on none of her social media accounts.
Really? So she's just kind of just dropped off, huh, dude?
I think she freaked the fuck out. I don't think she knew what she was getting into. You know what I mean?
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people came to her and convinced her that, look, it's a cool, it's what everybody makes a crypto coin. Let's go ahead and do one. We can make you a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think this girl knew what she was pushing or what they were going to do behind the scenes. And they basically yanked the rug out from everybody who invested in that shit,
That's what I heard, man. I heard it was big money, huh, dude?
Yeah, now you a little bit, which, I mean, I guess you're kind of new to the crypto market too, but you're a little bit more educated when it comes to all that investing than I am. Is that illegal, like to pump something up like that? And then basically everybody who was involved on her team, they sold their shit as soon as that fucking coin got to whatever amount they wanted it to get to.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's illegal, Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I was reading a little bit about that. Look, don't be surprised if the SEC isn't investigating it because they hate crypto to begin with because it's not regulated. But yeah, I think like you just said earlier, brother. I think she got way over her head. She listened to her managers or whoever's running her gig, and she probably made some money out the deal. And yeah, I think she's going to have some recourse over it for sure, man.
yeah. Well, she
I
definitely
really do.
made money off the deal. I just don't think she knew at what expense it was going to be. Because like I said,
Exactly.
I mean, this girl, she had just dropped. That her podcast was blowing up. Every account that she's linked to social media wise is huge, and then all of a sudden she drops off the face of the earth once this shit hit the fan. So she's got to be
Yeah.
trying to, I guess, reevaluate what the fuck's going on here. But I think she's scared, man. I think she's scared shitless because I don't think she knew what she was getting into with these scammers, and that's all that
No.
was. Somebody talked that girl into doing that, telling her it was a good investment and it was a safe strategy to make some money. And
Yeah.
they said that everybody on her team that got rid of those coins as soon as it spiked up, it
Yep.
wasn't even coins that they bought. It was coins that was given to them. So they didn't invest a dime into this shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that makes it even worse. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing when they launched that coin, and they put her right in the middle of it. That poor girl. She should have stayed the fuck away from that shit and kept doing her social media stuff and her podcast,
Yeah, I didn't get the hype anyway with her, but it was like always like, yeah, well, God bless her, man. She's got an opportunity to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
She's got a good vibe for people and digging it, man. So she's probably made the right chunk. And yeah, that's just that, you just never know, man, where it goes, and
No.
and then you listen to the wrong people, and the next thing they're gonna hang you out to dry because Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can do jail time for that, insider trading or whatever they might call it, so.
That's what I'm wondering, like how much, responsibility can fall on her, because they do say ignorance is no excuse to the law. Like she probably didn't know that this shit was going to go like it did, but you still put your name all over it, so.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, did she sign documents for this?
Oh,
And what
she
kind of
did.
what was signed, and what lawyer probably told her to do this, and played on
Mhm.
her stupidity, and here she is. Not to say she probably made a bunch of money off of it too, but yeah, I think she's got some recourse coming, my brother.
Well,
I
so,
really did. I
when
really
are we
did.
dropping are we going to drop a B.S.ing coin?
We could do it. I'm in, dude. It'll be legit, and it'd probably be the biggest coin next to Bitcoin. But yeah, I mean, whenever you're ready, dude, we could
I
do it.
want to, I want to pump and dump, man. I want to make a quick hustle.
Pick up a good 20 mil real quick, dude, and be done, huh, dude.
Why not, dude? They do it. We might as well.
Dude, all them coins do it, dude, so
Yeah, and
it
that's
is crazy.
that was a big thing. Like if anybody bought into that coin thinking it was going to be anything other than a quick hustle, I mean, come on now. Do you think the Haktua meme coin was going to be some type of currency? Like
Yeah. Going to the
you
Toyota
almost,
dealership, huh, dude?
yeah, I
Y'all
got
take
some
the Hawk 2
Haktua.
coin.
Yeah. Whoever did it almost deserved to lose their fucking money if you were dumb enough to invest in that.
If you were dumb enough to invest in that, absolutely.
I
Dude.
think honestly, everybody that was investing, they were trying to get a quick hit also. But the problem is they pulled the
Probably.
rug out faster than these
Exactly.
people could sell off. You know what I mean?
Yes,
They didn't give people
absolutely.
time to sell. So
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's-
It's crazy.
I know. Well, what else been going on, man? We
Um,
got a lot more
no,
that-
did you hear one little thing we can hit on real quick? Did you hear that the IG report came out, man? And about the J6 saying that they had, what was it, 7 undercover FBI agents there,
Really? No, I
during the
didn't see that.
J6. And I find it kind of coincidental, brother, that of course Christopher Wray, he steps down the day before all of this comes out, and but yeah, it's just kind of, this is the first thing I heard about it today, and
Yeah.
but yeah, the IG report came out saying that they had 6 or 7 undercover FBI agents there. So which tells me they probably had 70 to 100 or maybe more there.
You
So
you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, if they're saying that, then there was
Yeah.
way more than that. And I
absolutely.
guess it shouldn't surprise anybody, that, but at least now it's somewhat being documented, because when
Absolutely.
they sat there and did that congressional hearing and they were asking that motherfucker from the FBI whether or not they had agents in the crowd, and their only response could be, basically, I can't answer, I plead the fifth or whatever the hell it was. It was like they would not give a yes or no answer on whether or not they had agents in the crowd that were pumping that shit up. They wouldn't give a response. So that lets you know right there all you needed to know. And it's a shame that they did that shit to them people. And then, speaking of that, Trump says that's one of the first things he's doing, according to him.
Within the first hour.
I read that. I was like, well, he's not fucking around with that, and he said it a couple times, so you would think he's going to go through with it,
I think so. It'd probably be a case-by-case basis, and I guess you got to look at it too, man. If there's violent offenders there, God, I guess you got to kind of look at it. But I mean, if you were just kind of following the crowds and don't hold me to it, but I want to say, and I don't know if you heard, wasn't there a father-son from where we live at in Louisiana in our parish that got hung up, and basically I think he took the deal. I think it was a 3-year prison deal, man, or he was looking at 10 years or something, I don't know the whole specifics, but yeah.
Was it a father-son thing? I wasn't sure. I knew there was something to do with our local kind of community that would tie it into that J6 shit, but I
think it was father-son was there, man. I think the father took the role, man, or took the hit, and
wow.
But yeah, I think he wound up taking a couple of years or 3 years or something like that, man.
And all he did was he was just there, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He was just there. It's not like he really busted in the doors and broke windows and all that crap, but he was there and they identified him, so.
Well, that's the type of people right there that as soon as Trump takes office, those type of people. I'm with you. I mean, if you went there and actually, you were assaulting somebody or destroying shit, well, you got to pay the consequences. You got to face the consequences. But for people that were just there to be thrown in prison, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's crazy, and I'm sure you heard, and I know it kind of switching gears a little bit, but the pardon for Hunter came out all the way back to 2014, and now the question is, are they going to write pardons for all these other Fauci and Liz Cheney and Biden himself and all these other ones, and it's just like, dude, all you're doing is proving your guilt. You know what I'm saying, dude?
No
if they do that,
And I guess don't they all do it? I would assume. I mean, I think every president, on his way out, because I was just, it's funny you say that because I was reading a headline earlier that was Biden commuted roughly 1,500 sentences and pardoned 39 people.
Yeah.
And it says in the biggest single day act of clemency. So, I mean, he's going off on it, and I'm sure he's being advised, but I don't think Biden gives two shit on who's in jail and who's not anymore. But, apparently somebody had a long list for him.
Oh, I'm sure, man.
I was trying to see if there were any, noteworthy names on it or not. Oh, look, right here from us, Louisiana resident Trinitha Fulton, 46 years old, was one of the pardons. She pleaded guilty to participating in a payroll fraud scheme while serving as a New Orleans middle school teacher in the 2000s. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation in 2008. So why does she deserve any sort of pardon? For one, she was only sentenced to probation, and she was found guilty of basically stealing from the public school system. So why the fuck is that?
Right, dude. Yeah, I agree with you.
The pardon gives me a sense of freedom, she said. The conviction has served as a mental barrier for me. Well, you shouldn't have fucking done it. Like, what
you think?
Why does she deserve a pardon? Wow.
It's crazy,
Well, let's see. After her conviction, Fulton went on to earn her master's degree. She helps lead the nonprofit. So, in other words, she's turned her life around big time. And I guess, like she said, that conviction was holding her back. So, I don't know. I mean, it makes a little bit more sense if I just read on a couple sentences instead of just judging from the first sentence. But still, you committed a crime. You know how many people commit crimes and they change their life and they don't get fucking pardoned,
Every day.
I mean, yeah, it happens all the time. Let's see.
Crazy.
The president had previously issued 122, 21 other pardons. He's also broadly pardoned those convicted of use of simple possession of marijuana, which is cool. and pardon former U.S. service members convicted of violating now repealed military ban on consensual gay sex. So apparently, you used to get charged for, fucking butt humping in the military. I didn't know that was a crime. I just figured you couldn't. I remember when you couldn't be gay in the military, or at least you couldn't say it. I didn't know it was
Right, exactly.
like, damn, dude.
Unbelievable.
That is pretty rough. I mean, I don't get the gay thing. It's not my thing or whatever, but to be charging people with a crime, that's a little rough.
That is a little rough, dude. Yeah.
Let's see what else he got here. Others are advocating for Biden to commute a sentence of federal death row prisoners, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I'm sure the left wants everybody in jail, out of jail,
Sure. Sure.
Let's see. But those who receive the pardons would have to accept them. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. It was part of the House committee that investigated a violent, I like how they look. Adam Schiff, he was part of the House committee that investigated a violent January 6th insurrection. They love throwing that fucking word in there.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what
He's another one that might be getting pardoned, huh? Is that what you're reading about?
Yeah. I'm just reading all these. No, let's see.
Liz Cheney, any of the J6 committee,
Yeah. New California Senator Adam Schiff, who was part of blah, blah, blah. President shouldn't be spending his waning days in office worrying about this. Yeah, I don't know. Violent January 6th. My God, I don't know which part. I guess when they were ushering them in, the cops, opening the doors and letting them walk in.
I think there'll be more coming out, man, with all of that in the near future. Mostly once J20 comes around and Trump gets in, and hopefully they'll kind of open up all of this bullshit and see, man. And that just shows you, man, that it needs to be cleaned out. The FBI, all of it, man. Department of Justice, all the way down, man. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to be rooted out. It needs to be redone. And all this two-tier justice system, if it's Pelosi with her insider trading, and it's not just Pelosi, it's all of them, man. They're all into this, man. And look, man, when you're trading and you're doing better than the S&P 500, Jesus, dude, you know what I'm saying? Something's got to be wrong, dude. So.
Is there, honestly, I know we joke around and I see other people joke around about it, but is there a way to follow what Pelosi's investing in?
Dude, I've seen a couple of things out there where some college student, man, has started something that supposedly, I think all of these congressmen, man, are supposed to make it public on what they're trading, because your job is public. But are they truly doing everything? Probably not, dude, But supposedly, yeah, you can, man,
Yeah, that's what I was.
But they fooling with big stuff, man, big money, So
yeah. I mean, I guess it's nothing we're going to be able to fucking invest in anyway if you did follow her, but
No.
because it's not like she's investing $5,000 into something,
No, she might be doing $3 or $4 million a swap, So
I know they were trying to tie that Brian Thompson murder, the CEO of United Healthcare, into that, basically saying that he was going to testify against Nancy Pelosi, but fact checkers, whoever you want to, whatever you want to call them, come out and said there was no truth to that at all. But that's another weird one, man. Are you
it is
after it settled for a few days with that Luigi guy? I mean, you think he just had some kind of grudge, or do you think he was actually put up to that by somebody, like being a professional kind of paid hitman, or do you think it was just some ass clown that had a personal grudge against this guy?
Dude, I don't know, man. You think about, you look at his background, and he's Ivy League school, top of his class, everything going for him. And here we go. This guy just, ghost guns and shoots him. And then, of course, goes as far as, engraving the shell casings to shoot this guy. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. But I don't know, man. Why do you go from New York to Pennsylvania and you're sitting in a McDonald's and Lord knows what you're doing at McDonald's and you still got the weapon and the bag? And it just makes no sense. None of it makes sense to me, man.
Because it wasn't like it was 10 minutes later they found him in McDonald's with all this shit.
Exactly.
What I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's always going to be more to a story like this than what you're ever going to know, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, this one just seems very odd because, at first it was like, oh shit, that was a paid assassin, blah, blah, but it's like the more you look into it, I don't know, man. The dude had this manifesto on him, and the first thing he's doing basically, and just praising the fucking FBI,
Yeah.
And I'm like, if anything sounds like the feds were in on this shit, was the first line, and basically the manifesto is, I respect what y'all do for this country and all this bullshit talking to the FBI. It's like,
It's so true.
why would you write that? But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's more to it, man. There's more to it. Will we ever know? Probably not, dude.
No,
But
no,
yeah, I believe there's more to it. I mean, this guy had everything going for him. And
yeah.
but I don't know what makes you. I don't know. Is it a sum of money or what? It's like, does somebody come to you, Shane, and say, "Hey, I need you to go do this," and it's like, in your right mind, and be like, well, I don't know, dude, but
yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it almost leads you towards, did he have some kind of personal vendetta against this guy?
Could
Because
have been.
I think he was sick, and his grandma, some kind of, or his
Yeah.
mom, I forget the story, but there's a lot of people that aren't feeling sorry for this CEO guy because of the type of company he runs. I mean, I think they said there was like 34% like decline rate with that company, as far as
Yeah.
declining people's claims. I mean, it's a pretty shitty game. It's a very tough thing to be in charge of like that, because you almost have to be a fucking soulless person almost, because people are basically dying because of decisions that a company you're running is making,
It's very true. And it's healthcare in general, man. And look, it's not, you can blame the healthcare companies as much as you can blame the big doctors, big pharma, and government. Because if the government was running it, do you think they would approve of everything? No.
No.
I think they need a total revamp, And look, I totally believe, man, and look, with the healthcare that I have, it's shit. It's garbage healthcare that I pay a lot of money for, and I have a big deductible. It's shit. So every time I go to the doctor, I have to pay out of pocket to get my blood work checked and my pressure, just normal routine stuff.
Sure.
So it's like, I kind of feel like that's the way it should be. I really do. And you should have insurance strictly for major catastrophes, if it's open heart surgery or cancer or something like that, where policies could be a little bit cheaper. But I mean, and look, everybody wants to run. I got my earache. Well, I got to go run to the doctor and pay a copay, and then everything's covered. And it's just like, I mean, come on, dude. I don't know. I don't know if there's any cure for it, because the government is in it now, and the government has screwed it up as they screw everything up.
So you're basically saying it's little things like that drive up the cost because people that just go for nonsense. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was listening to something on one of these podcasts one night. It was late at night, and a pharmacist was talking that, you're better off if you just come in there with a prescription and say you don't have insurance. A lot of times you can get that prescription cheaper, even in the not the generic form, but the real medication, name brand. You can get it cheaper if once you pull out your insurance card. Now I have to run everything through insurance. It's going to cost more through insurance. The pharmacy makes more money. The insurance company makes more money. And it's just total bullshit, man. It really is, dude.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? It's like, instead of just going in and look, I don't have insurance. How much is it? It's $8.95 for the prescription. Oh, okay, that's cool. Instead of having to say, well, I got to pay a deductible and this and that,
Yeah, they got the cash prices on a lot of that shit,
Yeah.
It's basically what they do. They do that. Like, if you just go to the, hell, like the urgent care, you know what I mean? That's the first thing they ask you. You paying cash, insurance, whatever, because there's two different prices on that shit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It is. It's crazy, man.
Well, that's what's wrong with one of the knocks against the free healthcare shit that they like to tout in Canada is that every time when you stub your toe or you got an ingrown nail, you're running to the fucking hospital, the doctor, and so the waiting rooms are clogged up with people that don't need to be in there because
absolutely,
you just go. At least from what I hear. I mean, it's I haven't been. It's not like I live under that system, but people that have been there or that have lived there, that was their complaints with that are the ones that are against that free healthcare shit, is it clogs up the system.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. I wish I knew the statistics, man. And stuff that I've heard and seen before, that there's a lot of Canadians that run to the United States for surgeries, if it's open heart surgery or gallbladder or whatever it might be, and pay out of pocket because of how clogged it is and having to wait for this, or that type of surgery,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not a big healthcare guy. I'm not a big Western medicine guy. And like you and I always talk, probably the day when we need it, we're not going to take it.
Well, they're giving us such a bad fucking taste in our mouth.
Absolutely, dude.
It'd something one day that we'll need. Because I mean, it's not to say that, you know, Western medicine doesn't have its place and they haven't done some great things, but
Right.
you know, when, and we've touched on it before, but once it became such a huge for profit business, it was it. It was
Absolutely.
done. It was
Done.
over. As soon
Yeah.
as you allow people to make just god awful amounts of money from anything, you're pretty much going to ruin it. You
You
know,
ruin it.
and
Absolutely.
look, and the answer is not to have a cap, I guess, because you can't believe in capitalism if you're going to cap profit. You know what I mean?
No,
So
absolutely
I
not.
don't know
Yeah.
how you fix it. I mean, you got to have people that are in there for other reasons than profit, but that's just not who you appoint to run these companies, you know, because for one, you have a shit ton of stockholders and all that you have to please every year, you
Yep.
know, and none of them want to lose money. So, you know, it's a, I don't know, man, it's a bad game that I don't know how, you know, how we get away from that. I mean, because socialized medicine isn't the answer. You know what I mean?
Not at
Government
all.
run shit. So the
Yeah.
only other answer is private companies that are allowed to profit as much as they possibly can. But then it just breeds corruption and it breeds evilness, you know, where they
Yes.
they do it at the expense of our lives. So I don't know how you fix that, man. I
No,
really
when you
don't.
hear people that talk about Shane that how we need, free health care, dude, just look at the VA, man. I've never been to the VA. I'm not a veteran, but I have friends that are veterans, and it is just a clusterfuck, man. It
Right.
really is. It's just a pain in the ass to get anything done. I had a buddy that was in Vietnam. He's in his 70s today. He carried a different form of health insurance because when he would go there, they would tell him, I think you need a hernia surgery. And it took him, I mean, months to get him in there to do it. He's like, yeah, screw that, dude. I need to get it done. So he went through his private insurance to get it done. It was done like that, So
Ah,
yeah,
damn.
it's crazy. So when you look at that kind of stuff, yeah, I mean, socialized medicine is not the answer, man. Go sit at Charity Hospital one night and probably see the people that come in there and see how long you sit in a waiting room with a broken arm, So,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
that is true because that is a form of socialized, you know.
absolutely.
You're right. The place
Absolutely.
is always full and
Yep.
it's a madhouse in there. And I mean, it's so, I mean, but the problem is, you know, we bitch about it, but we don't have an answer, you know, and
No.
that's where it becomes tough because I understand, you know, why you have to allow these private companies to kind of run these things when it comes to developing medicines and, you know, dispersing these medicines because something has to drive these people to create these things, you know what I mean? And it costs money. Somebody can't
Yes.
devote their life to that and then they have no way to make a living, you know? I just think
Yeah, and I think a lot of the discrepancy in healthcare, brother, is, if you're talking about that healthcare where that CEO was shot with 34% decline. Look,
sure.
I'm all for. I do not want some bureaucrat sitting in some office in some cubicle saying, "No, we're not going to approve your kidney surgery or whatever it might be that you're here for." No, screw you, dude. I'm paying insurance. My doctor's saying I need to have this.
Right.
It needs to be covered. I don't want some bureaucrat. And people think, well, socialized medicine or free healthcare through the government would be any different. It would not be any different. They'd probably be denying if it's 34%, I bet you 50% of the people would not get the coverage that they need through government healthcare.
Government. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So, I
absolutely.
mean, all right, let's say you're king for a day. How do you fix that? How do you fix the healthcare, crisis as far as with the these for-profit organizations opposed to government run? I mean, what do you do? What do you do with that?
I mean, and it's all the way across the board. If it's health insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance,
Yeah.
business insurance, I mean, it's all. It's just, I don't know. Something needs to be done with it, but how would you do it? I don't know. I mean,
It,
I
it,
would
it,
almost go back to something where, look, you're going to the doctor for the sniffles, and you need some cough syrup, dude. You pay out of pocket for that. Why do you need to be paying $500 to $800 a month for an insurance policy with a $50 copay? And like you and me. I might go to the doctor twice just to get my vitals checked,
right.
get some blood work checked, make sure I'm healthy. Hopefully they don't find nothing wrong with me. Why am I going? Why I just and that's why I got off of my insurance was almost $1,000 a month for that with a $50 copay, and it's like here we are. I'm spending this money. I don't ever go to the doctor, but it's there when you need it. So okay, well I'm spending $900 a month for when I need it. I was going broke. So here I cut the payment by half with a $6,000 deductible, and still when I go to the doctor today, now I got to pay them. It's $125 to go to the doctor and get my blood checked and get my blood pressure checked and all this crap. So, yeah, I don't know, Shane. Like I said, I'm not in that field, But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how you do it, man.
So
I think that kind of stuff you almost need to say, like you take your car to the mechanic and get an oil change. You pay for it, or like you go to the doctor and I need, something for my sore throat. Guess what? It's $150 today, but you have
no, yeah,
catastrophic insurance.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you just have it for if you need some sort of life saving surgery or
Yeah, broken arm.
now,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess there are people that they need certain medications and certain treatment all through their life, like
absolutely.
somebody with diabetes. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I guess you could weigh things on a case by case basis. But but do you think capping profit on these pharmaceutical companies and these insurance companies, do you think that's an answer at all to be able to cap what they're allowed to profit off of this? Or does
God,
that
that's a
go
pretty
against
tough one,
everything that a
man.
conservative?
As a capitalist as I am, but I mean, we've seen how it's turned out for big pharma with if it's Oxy and all of these other COVID vaccines and how much money they have made and probably how many lives they destroyed. So, yeah, in certain situations, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing.
It
So,
is. It is tough because, like you said, as a
yeah,
capitalist, you hate to even utter those words,
absolutely. You
cap
know,
on profit. But I
yes,
just believe that that's where a lot of this, this shit stems from, as far as the greed and you're getting people that are in charge of these companies that they're there because they're fucking soulless and heartless. So they rise to the top in these companies when it comes to making profit for these companies. You know what I mean? So that's the type
exactly.
of people, like these Sacklers, when they came out with the oxycodone and oxycontin, they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. But
Absolutely.
that's the type of people
Absolutely.
it took to turn that into a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
So it would seem like in hindsight they should have had a cap, but like you said, people on the left would argue and say, well, you can't call yourself a capitalist then.
Exactly.
And so yeah, it's
And
a
it's the
tough.
same thing. It boils all the way down to the doctors. I mean, as long as you're paying doctors to write prescriptions, and I know you and I have talked off air about that. Oh, well, you need the blood pressure medication. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I don't need blood pressure medication.
Yeah, I should
But
eat.
yeah, I just maybe need to eat better or this and that. But yeah, when they're making commissions or making a paycheck or whatever it might be, yeah, it's just such a vicious cycle. Here we are, man. We're right back at the dog chasing the tail, man. It just
I know,
doesn't.
but it
It
just makes
doesn't.
interesting conversation because I wasn't
It
expecting you to
does.
really have an answer for it overnight.
No, but I would
I was
love to
just
know it.
curious
And it's the
because
same thing in auto insurance and homeowners insurance and business insurance. It's like, God damn, dude, where's it in? And what can be done? Should those kind of businesses maybe have a cap? God, I'm a capitalist. I hate to say yes, but I don't know. I really
yeah,
don't, man. Yeah,
yeah, because I know one thing with, especially when it comes to pharmaceuticals, I mean, you put a cap on that, then a lot of people that may actually invent something that's useless, I mean, useful, I'm sorry, useful for the human race, you may
right.
not see that invention because they may be driven by money and they're like, well, I'm not doing all this shit, putting all this time and all this work and all this money
Very
into
true.
developing something, and I can only make $500,000 out of it. So then those ideas are out the window. You know what I mean? It could
Yes.
have been something like fucking penicillin that we needed. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
could stop
Oh
something
yeah.
like that. So yeah, I guess that's not the answer, but that's the problem, is the
Yes.
profit that these companies are allowed to make. That is the root cause of why we're in fucking shambles in this country when it comes to healthcare.
It's true. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. As good as
No.
capitalism is, it can also be a destroyer, I guess, man, in some sense of a term.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, fuck it. We didn't solve that problem.
No, we didn't solve it, but yeah, look, man, we can keep talking about it. Give us something to keep
Yeah.
talking about. I don't know, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I do want to say, I want to show it off. We got our merch store. We get shirts, cups, a little bit of everything. Yep. The link is on our page. You can't miss it. Matter of fact, right under this video, you should probably see a link to some of our merch. But anyway, just wanted to let people know that it has been launched. So if you want to show the world
That's
that you're
awesome.
full of BS, if you want to show the world you're full of BS like we are, go ahead and look it up. Get what you need. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Let's
It's
get
good to
on
be
out of
back,
here.
man. So
Yeah, it is.
yes.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Like you said,
Cool.
news never stops. So we'll knock another one out soon. But
Absolutely, bro.
That's it. Straight from the swamps. We are BSing with the guys. I am Shane. That is Brad.